Okay, so I guess I need to start out by giving an apology to DC for the way that I bashed on those future ends last week. I'm sorry. You don't have to come punch me in the face and take my money. Um, I read 3 books this week, all of which were great. A couple of which left me, really all 3 of which left me wishing that I had more books from this timeline. First of all, I read Green Lantern Corps. Uh, Green Lantern Corps, I believe, is just an awful title. Um, and I wish they would just do away with it. This made me believe that standalone stories that involve the Green Lantern Corps are good. Um, I don't like John Stewart, so the fact he's, the main character in the Green Lantern Corps um, is, I don't know, maybe is part of the reason that I have so much hate on it. But, I don't understand why it is that you have the Green Lanterns. You have 4 Earth Lanterns. They're all green. I mean, Guy Gardner's red right now. But I wish that they could split them up. Have Guy Gardner lead the Reds. Have, John Stewart, as is shown in this, lead the Indigos. John Stewart could use a little compassion, He's got a lot of angst in him, and, a little compassion would do him good. I think that Simon Baz and the way he feels towards people fearing him, he would make a great Yellow Lantern. The dynamic between Sinestro and Hal Jordan would be even better if you had somebody that was an Earth Lantern that was yellow. And really, why have 4 green Earth Lanterns? Because you're always going to concentrate on Hal Jordan, and that's the only thing you care about. So, but this issue had more substance about the Indigos than anything that I've read. Most of the time when you see Indigo 1, the only thing she has to say is knock. And in this issue, there was like a back and forth several times between her and John Stewart explaining like the Indigo beliefs. And the Indigos are one of my favorite light colors. It was nice to finally have them have some story. But that was really great. Suicide Squad was just hilarious. I mean, you had a one-armed Deadshot, a crazy Black Manta, a steroided out Harley, and the government had basically been experimenting with them to try to make a super soldier, and had just failed miserably. So now they've decided that they're gonna go off and open a facility to clone supervillains, and an army of Jokers is a just horribly scary thought to me. Where is that? Oh, I mean, you got kid Jokers. I mean, how scary does that get? Can you imagine like 40 Jokers? That would be horrifying. And so, I mean, I don't like the relaunch of the Suicide Squad. And this was honestly better. It made me wish that they would continue with the Futures in Suicide Squad opposed to what they got now. And I hope they release a figure, a statue of Steroid Harley. Huntress and Power Girl, just great. I expected no less. Everything I've read of the World's Finest has just been great. Basically, 5 years in the future, superheroes have all been herded into like a concentration camp type of prison, and you got introduced to a new, I guess, villain, 50 Sue, who was just a badass. You got to see the new Power Girl, getting to, I guess, be a little, 5 years in the future. She's a little more used to being Power Girl, and just everything about this was good. I liked that there was Omax's prison guards. I like that you had Power Girl without a boob window. The art in this was just great. That you had Deathstroke as like the warden of the prison. You know, that's one of the books that New 52 wise that I really, really loved. It's one of the only things that I went back and bought trade papers on. I've got volume 1 and 2 just in case I want to go back and reread them. And it's just, it never really disappoints me. Imperial number 2, it was as good as Imperial number 1. Still, I feel it's kind of a greatest American hero story. Imperial and the main character, who I can't remember his name, I'll call him Derek. They have, you've got one guy that's like a down-to-earth, everyday guy. You've got another guy who's kind of a Rudy Tooty type of guy, and the two of them kind of exploring each other's worlds. It was really, really funny. There's a thing in here where Imperial is talking about the greatest things in the world, and Derek is talking about the greatest things in the world, and Imperial thinks it's the rings of Saturn, and Derek thinks it's s'mores, and a couple of pages later, Imperial shows up with a bag full of Hershey's and marshmallows and graham crackers and wants to try these s'mores that he hears are better than the rings of Saturn. And upon trying them, kind of can't really make up his mind which is better. It's just, that book is just kind of funny. Coffin Hill number 11. This book, the last couple of issues, has kind of made me wish that Coffin Hill had 2 series. One that involved Eve and the Ice Fisher, and one that involved what's going on with the witchcraft in Coffin Hill. Because trying to do them both in one story, you're not really doing either one of them justice. I mean, it's an awesome book, but I wish that each month you could give me a whole story, not just 9 pages of one, 9 pages of the other, and then a couple of pages that are overlapping. I mean, it's still probably, one of my top 10 books. I absolutely love Coffin Hill, but I really wish that Vertigo would split that off into 2 titles, and then I could have everything that I wanted. Red Wild's End. This book was bizarre. It was like Where the Wild Things Are in a suburb. You've got rabbit people and dog people and ferret people and fox people and turtle people, and they're all basically living in a subdivision. And this issue was about welcoming a new member to their community who is a ex-Navy retired general guy. And it's just, it's like if Where the Wild Things Are, if they were just not monsters and just, everyday Joes, this would kind of be their story. And it was better than I expected. It was not what I expected, but better than I expected. Batman 66 Green Hornet. This book is just great. If you're not reading this, you thought about reading Batman 66, but you didn't, I would recommend, this is on issue 4. It'll probably come out in trade pretty soon. Going back and picking up this Batman Green Hornet. I grew up watching Batman and Green Hornet in syndication, and I always liked Kato better than I liked Robin. I always liked Batman better than I liked Green Hornet, and I always hoped that the two of them could team up. And I kind of feel like maybe Kevin Smith felt that same way. and wrote this story. You just got a really just established arc, and the same art and the same characters from those shows, and I just hope that this story arc doesn't go on but another couple of issues, because I really wish they would introduce other villains other than Colonel Glue, who has been promoted to General, and the Joker. Even though the Joker, Batman, Green Hornet dynamic has been just awesome. The only thing I was really disappointed with this week that I read was Battlestar Galactica. I guess I was only disappointed because of the fact that this book, the characters are primarily from the 70s Battlestar Galactica series, which I don't like. It was basically people, playing around with an Atari joystick, trying to shoot down space fighters. Really poor robots. Really sad characters. The thing I did really like about this is I liked Colonel Ty's character a lot, which in the old Galactica series, Colonel Ty wasn't all that into. I liked that Balthazar, which was in the new Galactica series, you can see him there, he's kind of like a Mr. Freeze type character. He's made himself this like crazy spacesuit. But, steampunk Cylons are kind of funny. I'll be happy whenever they introduce the Cylons a little better. The legendary steampunk that I read before kind of started out slow, so I'm thinking maybe this one will start out the same way. A lot of character development for the first couple of issues, but, it'll all work out. And went to con this weekend. Got a couple of Scotty Young variants that I didn't have. I got Fantastic Four #1, or FF #1, I guess. Really like that. I love Scotty Young's art. It's just so funny. It reminds me a lot of like old cartoony Gru stuff that I read that just seems just so unreal. I got Superior Spider-Man #1, which I just love that cover. You got like a green cheese moon, Spider-Man all bobbly going out in front of it, and those were really great. I guess that's about all I got to say, and I'll go ahead and finish reading some comics.